We have a badge on the E1M1 network Twitch page that says we're an original member of the Beam community, which is a website I totally forgot about.
What is the Beam community?
That was a Mixer before Microsoft bought them. As soon as Microsoft bought Beam, they changed the name to Mixer.
Mm.
And one of those things where it's like, alright, Beam was kind of a cool name, and Mixer is okay, I guess. But I guess it worked out in the end. Okay, let's, where's live streaming? There we go. High CPU usage detected. Oh no. What am I gonna do? Okay. Got all that stuff open. Okay. Are you guys ready to get started?
Let's do it.
I am.
Alright, starting in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of RPG Love Picking Up the Pixels, the show about JRPGs and kind of similar related games. We're talking about visual novels a lot. I'm your host, Boss Syndrome, as always, is Musim.
Hello.
And Mina.
Hi.
Patreon.com/E1M1, the ones are numbers. I never remember to plug it on the show, so for $2 or $5 a month, you get a whole bunch of cool early access, behind the scenes, and secret stuff. So go check it out, patreon.com/E1M1. Musim, let's start with you. What have you been playing this past week? Month?
So,
period of time.
Just this week.
Yeah.
Cut out the other. Yeah. That's about how January's been. I've just been in a coma. I have played a bunch of stuff though.
Okay.
Played one game a whole lot and a bunch of other games a little bit. So after last cast, I went and played like another week or so in Fire Emblem houses. And I've decided I'm just going to take a break from it. It says I've clocked 40 hours into it. Like I'm not.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not necessarily like I'm still not to the schism yet. So I'm going to guess at least a fourth of that is pause time.
Right.
Except I guess the Nintendo Switch probably would go to sleep. Like it goes to sleep faster than the other consoles. So maybe I'm wrong there, but I don't know. But I think I just needed a simple, dumb, mash a button game. And luckily I'd accidentally bought one in December that is related called Fire Emblem Warriors.
Right.
Oh, there we go.
So it's always fun playing like the Dynasty games, like for these series, because almost all of them are the same. And that, for some reason, sorry, I thought I heard something crash. Swear a dog was destroying something, but for some reason, they're always like, here are all these different continuities who have nothing to do with each other. There's going to be a magic thing that sucks them all in. They're going to have to fight. But before they can like be friends, they're going to fight. They're going to declare they're going to fight. And then you're going to wind up on a battlefield where you have to control different sections of the battlefield before you can actually fight the person who is just wanting to fight you, which makes like an extra weird, like funny situation to me in my head. Because it's like the schoolyard bully threatening you, then running away, and then you having to go through mobs or whatever. But this is a pretty typical... is it Koei? Are they the company? I think they're the company.
A Musou game.
Yeah, and this is a pretty typical Musou game.
Yeah.
I'd put it in the same basket as like a Gundam. Each mission you get a new character or two. It does, however, have skill trees for all the characters, which I really like.
Oh, cool.
I kind of just mindlessly go in and buy all the skills, though. It's not like a...
Yep.
Diablo skill tree where you get locked, or a Diablo 2 skill tree where you get locked out of something. It's just a get everything type tree. But it's kind of cool also because the first few missions, all your units are on foot, and then you get your first guy on a horse. I forgot his name. And then you eventually get someone on a Pegasus, and like they have this land manipulation thing too, where Pegasus can basically hop over giant holes. It's not like a jumping mechanic. It's just like a quick time kind of mechanic.
Oh, okay.
but it allows you to get to other areas on the map. But the thing I like about those games, aside from being like good brain dead stuff, is like the battlefield control stuff. I still think has a lot of potential. Because if you haven't ever played one, like they send like thousands of guys at you, and one swing from your sword kills like 10 of them.
Mm-hmm.
But each field has like troop generators, and you have to defeat the captain in that field to take over, and then your guys will be there. But the enemy units will have heroes and things which can retake theirs. So you'll have like 4 or 5 characters you can switch between on the battlefield. And so you'll basically be it's almost like a pseudo really easy RTS, in that you're commanding your troops to go to certain locations. And the one you're controlling is probably going to be the only one that takes over anything, but at least the others can soften up the areas or guard areas or whatnot. But anywho, I played that a little bit. It's fine. It did make me just kind of long more for them to officially announce the Persona one that's going to be released here.
I'll have good news for you in the releases section.
Oh, well, good. And then my other wish is, I know everyone liked dogpiling on the Gundam ones, but I really liked those and would really enjoy a new one, especially with all the crazy new suits that we've gotten out of like Iron-Blooded Orphans and Unicorn and all that.
Especially since they seem to have figured out a lot of the rights issues. Because like during the PS2 era, it's like, well, we'd love to bring these Gundam games over, but like 10 people own these licenses, and we can't do that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it was a mess.
Yeah, and those games, almost every Gundam game is worth like those games don't devalue. I'll put it that way.
Right.
Like
A lot of those animes that came out during that time period had that same problem. You may wonder why there was never, like, at its height, the Sailor Moon games. You may wonder, like, why wasn't there ever a Sailor Moon game?
Right.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
At the people who held all the rights.
Yep.
There will never be one.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, like the ones that came out were like early Super NES Sailor Moon games, and those are good, but never again.
I mean, those weren't released here, though, were they? Those were all...
No.
I'm about to say, because I played a little bit of the RPG one back in the day with like a hacked ROM type deal.
Yeah.
That was a good game.
Fan translation.
Pretty much all of those games, though, are like under so many, like, well, not just those games, but like the whole like those Gundam games, Sailor Moon, like anything from that time period is just like
10, 15 companies own the rights, and it's just like, now
and they will fight for it.
Yeah, not even a bother.
Yeah.
That's frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, and Gundam is kind of... Gundam fandom on State's side, like, I don't necessarily want to say the fandom's died out, but like, since Adult Swim stopped showing Gundam stuff, or at least I don't think they have in a long time, like, most of their State's popularity were because they showed Wing back in the day.
Right.
So
I love that.
Yeah, showing it on Toonami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people learned about various animes through there? Like, I wanted to be a Gundam fan, and then they showed that on TV, and I got to see it, and then I started hunting down everything I could.
You're like, oh, this is actually really good. All right.
Funny story, there are like 50 series in Gundam, and I have not seen them all, because there's
so
too many.
Yeah.
Anyway. Let's see. Tokyo Mirage Sessions, FE, whatever, the Switch version came out. Yeah.
Yep. I haven't started this yet. I've another RPG I'm playing has turned out to be way longer than I was expecting.
Well, and I haven't played it a ton. Like, I turned it on, and like, just the music and presentation of that game makes me feel good. Like, it is. Gosh, it's such an upbeat and positive game that just has ridiculous crap in it. I really look forward to playing through it again. But
so this is the only game I've played that's an RPG this month, Tokyo Mirage Session. So I'm gonna have to join in on you with this one.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't have a ton to say because I just got past the initial dungeon, and I'm about to go start my training with what's his name. And then I thought, I really want to play something else. So what are your thoughts on it?
So I know I definitely played this on when it was on the Wii U, but my memory of it on the Wii U is pretty much non-existent. I don't know what happened. I feel like I've got amnesia that I've just forgotten everything. So I made it to I finished the first like actual dungeon, the one where you have like the maid outfits or the clothes that move their arms up and whatever, and you crawl through their arm sleeves to go to different floors. That sounds so weird.
It's pretty weird in game too. So
Yeah.
I mean,
So to no one's surprise, I am playing this on the hardest difficulty.
Yep.
so you did that last time too. I remember that.
I
Did
do
I?
remember
Okay.
that, yeah.
All right, so I did it again, and I probably didn't have the same thing happen to me the first time. I died on the first random encounter. Not the first encounter that you have, the boss fight,
Right.
because that one,
The first
I feel
dungeon encounter.
yeah, the first boss thing, I don't think you'd have to really try to lose, I feel. But like the first like random enemy moving around on the screen, I died to that, and I was just like, okay, so I've set the stage now on
Yeah.
why this is going to be difficult.
Oh, man.
So the thing that always gets me, like 100% of the time, the reason why I've died probably 3 or 4 times now in the game. What gets me every single time is like there will be like a bunch of enemies that spawn, and they'll hit one of my party's weaknesses, and they'll just go into like this again and again and again, like
right.
like 3 enemies join in, and it's like, well, only 2 of you really need to hit me to knock me down into critical.
Right.
So the third guy who joins in is just like, you're dead. And so it's like, okay, so we can't let that happen. So my strategy in playing this game is probably more focused on, okay, I need to eliminate the units that are going to expose the weaknesses, or I need to thin them out so that way the ones that join in are less plentiful.
Right.
So, like, I think normally you would be like, well, I got to get rid of this mage enemy because the mage enemy does so much damage. But it's kind of like, yeah, but this one might not join in on anybody's, like, crit attack.
Right. Or like you start your own chain by attacking this
Right.
other weak dude.
Right.
Right.
And that's and there are times where you would think I would opt to go for the one that chains with the rest of my party, but I'm just kind of like, if I do that, I just leave myself up to being like one shot by the group of enemies by trying to
Right.
take down one that doesn't matter. So it's a very interesting strategy that I'm pretty sure, like, if you're playing on the hardest difficulty, this is the strategy you go for. Versus if you're on like the easiest difficulty, you're probably just like, whatever gets the most of my people
Yeah,
to
I'm
join.
gonna try some stuff out.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I hate to break it to you, there's a lot of walking back and forth in the dungeons in this game. Like, because this game, like, their tactic for the Wii U second screen was, we're going to put the map on this screen, and all our dungeons are going to be based around pulling a lever on the map that opens a different path and closes another path.
and it's so confusing. Like, when I pulled those levers, especially like that first dungeon was the taste of, I have to remember, like without looking at a map, my brain has to be like, okay, I need to think about like how this building is shaped, so that way I'm doing the right thing on opening which floor up. And I'm like, this is only going to get worse.
Does the pause menu have a map that you can look at?
It does, but it's just kind of like,
It's a pain to get in there.
It's so much information. Like,
Yeah.
you're just trying to follow it all. So there is a map, but it's kind of like the map also doesn't really display very well what I hate 3D maps, but I feel like this is one of those times where I'm like, I could really use a 3D map to look at
Show
right
me
now.
the floors from a side, like
Right.
stack them all up. Yeah.
So, thankfully, because that whole walking back and forth thing, holy smokes! Because like, especially when you don't have like the materials to keep up with the zone, like walking through it and stuff, and you're just like, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough. Thank you. I don't have enough money, and I don't have enough
Like healing items and stuff.
healing items, and it's just kind of like, oh my gosh, it's so awful. So the thing that thankfully they give you pretty early on is that you learn these abilities. And so like there's like an early, and by the way, the second you can unlock these, what I forget what they're called, unities. The second you can unlock a unity, it's just like, well, I'm leaving to go unlock that unity right now.
Gotta go.
Right now. Because like the first unity you get is like, you know, when you have like a chain combo where you're like, oh, I did fire, and now somebody's like, okay, I get to join in with my spear attack. Okay, I get to join in with my wind attack or whatever the heck they're doing. So like that sort of thing. Well, until you unlock this one unity, they just overkill a monster. Then you get this unity that's like, okay, instead of overkilling a monster, just like wasting everybody's turn on it, like dump that off on a different monster. So
okay.
That's like a unity that I got early on. And then I also got the ability to teleport back to, like, to leave a dungeon instantly and teleport back to your base or whatever. And that, like, basically a permanent go home equipped to a unit. And thank goodness for that, because I have to use that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, they add new, like, basically every dungeon, I think they add like some other combat mechanic or unity or something that's a quality of life thing. So
yes, thank goodness, because let me tell you, walking out of the dungeons until you get that is a bane.
A real haul.
It destroyed me just trying to do it. And then thankfully, like the first real dungeon that you go to, they introduced the whole teleport pads that let you jump back to a different floor. So that way you don't have to walk through the entire thing, because that was like, I probably tried to climb this thing 3 or 4 times, and each time I got to a certain point, I'd be like, I am out of all resources. I have to leave because I cannot continue. And then I just barely make it to a teleport pad. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Okay,
I'm safe.
Can leave. And then I can jump back to this teleport pad and you know, continue the climb up.
They do have Save Game Plus. I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay.
Yeah, but we know I'm going to do this on the hardest difficulty.
I know.
I'm going to make this work.
Yeah.
So I have died probably 3 or 4 times, and like I said, the first one was to the first random encounter that I was not prepared for. I think like the second time I died was to a savage enemy, which was something they introduced in the second or the first dungeon. That's a real dungeon and not the tutorial dungeon or whatever we want to call that. So the first proper dungeon, they introduced the savage enemy, and which is basically like
Just an FOE, basically.
It's not even an FOE. It's just like a group of, like, it might have just like the same enemies as the floor proper, but it'll be like, yeah, we're gonna have like 5 or 6 of these jerks. Instead of your just normal, like, oh, there's only 2 or 3. Now it's like 5 or 6, and it's like, whoa, and they'll be way harder, and they'll have like way more health or way more defense or something, and you're just like, and you have to use the session or whatever. Is it called? The terminology I do not have yet. I'll get it the next PUP. But there's the meter that you build up, and you can expend that meter to do like a super strong attack.
Oh, right. I think that is the session meter.
Okay,
I think you're right.
All right. So that thing right there, you have to use, have to on the hardest difficulty. And sometimes it doesn't even outright kill a monster. Sometimes it just softens it, and it's just like, oh, it's so tough. It's so tough.
Yeah.
And for the longest time while I was going through the dungeon, because you need materials from the monsters to drop, it seemed like I was never learning enough abilities or whatever. It just, oh my goodness. I know that aspects of this will get better the further I play the game. But I also know that the aspects that I am not loving, which is the map and And that cannot get better, because this is only the first dungeon, and it's already like, wow. So,
Yeah.
I actually finished that one. Surprisingly, it only took me 2 attempts to take down the boss of that
Nice.
area. I was really happy with that, because I thought for sure I'd need more, but I was a lot more careful. Like the first time I battled the boss, because the boss summons like 2 ads that are horrible, because they join in the the attack. Oh, the ability that I found out the most use for, of course, lowering defense, raising your defense,
Yeah.
raising your attack, lowering, like, gotta keep that up.
Yep.
100% of the time. Like, that's like maximum upkeep. Whenever I go up against, like, if there's too many enemies on the screen, I'm gonna have to waste some turns just like buffing and debuffing, which I'm sure is just like, it's like that. Those abilities you probably don't ever use unless you're playing on a harder difficulty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, why would I want to poison a boss? Like, what?
You're just gonna kill it.
Yeah.
Poisoning the boss.
Yeah.
I forgot. Holy smokes! So poison hurts like crazy in this game.
Yeah,
like,
that's
so
the stuff.
like, not just on the boss, but on yourself. Like, if you get poison on you, get it off immediately. Holy smokes! Like, I don't remember how much health you have, but poison takes off 1/3 of your health.
Whoa!
And it's so insane. I was like, is this okay?
Right.
Who allowed this?
Right. Is this a bug?
Why is it doing so much damage? So of course, whenever I got the opportunity to poison, enemy boss or whatever, I'm like, I'm taking that opportunity, and it chunks enemies. So I'm like, well, at least if you do it to me, you allow me to do it to you.
Yeah.
You know, that's called balance.
Right.
I mean, it's very much a Shin Megami Tensei game, in that you can, like, it's. I don't know. I guess that's always been my experience with those games. I guess Persona's probably a little less concentrated on that, but they're always all about, like, raising your offense, lowering enemy offense. Yep. This enemy's going to kill you unless you lower their offense.
Nocturne is famous for that with the Matador fight. It's like, hey, if you don't know deep buffs and debuffs, you're not going to make it through this fight.
Gosh, that is a required fight, and I remember that was like that was the moment in the game where you say, am I really going to play through this game or not?
Right, is it going to break me here?
It's I'm enjoying it. I like when the combat's brutal. I only do this with games I love. Like, I would never do this with a game I knew I wasn't going to love, but like SMT games, Persona games, like, give me the max difficulty. It's fine if it hurts me. I enjoy this game enough.
Right.
So it makes the game last longer for me, and I also like just experiencing the battle systems when it's harder.
Yeah.
I forgot how. No, what is the word I'm looking for? So this is probably something that kind of turns people away from this game, because it's probably the same thing that turns people away from 10-2. Final Fantasy 10-2. The campiness.
Yeah. It's having fun.
I can have fun with a game like this, because I don't. It never bothered me. Like, I know some people will say, like, 10-2 had, like, a horrible story. 10-2 does not have a horrible story. It's actually pretty on par. It's the campiness.
Yeah,
people.
It's having fun.
So this game wants to have fun. It wants to be silly and goofy and just ridiculous, because it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's nothing about this game that isn't ridiculous.
I feel like if you read the description for the game, you aren't allowed to complain after buying it. Like, you're buying a game where you're going to be teen idols, and the fighting system is going to be you performing in front of, like, weird monster crowds. Like,
and I feel like some people ignore that part and say, like, oh, it's a mashup of Shin Megami Tensei and Fire Emblem. It's like, I mean, technically, but not in the way that you're expecting it to be.
I mean, sure, like, Crom's in it, but he doesn't really look like Crom.
It's more like cosplay for a really weird SMT game.
Yeah, it's like you're wearing their costumes, and it's a costume pack, but that's about it.
because like the Fire Emblem aspects of it, it's like it's so lightly sprinkled in there that if you were coming in from like a Fire Emblem standpoint, I imagine you would be like, what is this?
I finished Fire Emblem Three Houses and I'm ready for more. It's like this isn't it.
But it's at the same time it's also not like SMT either. So it's
right.
This kind of reminds me of that whole like Persona Q sort of thing where it's like the Etrian Odyssey people came into it going like, I want Etrian Odyssey, and the Persona people came into it like, I want Persona, and it's like, this is not going to please everyone.
Yeah, it's really neither.
It's neither, and it's wonderful, but you have to take it in for what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's going to make only me happy. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So
I love this game so much. I hope people give it a try. I still need to get back to it and start seeing whatever the new content they added was. I'm sure it's...
I haven't gotten to any new stuff yet.
I hope it's beyond just we added the swimsuit or whatever costumes that were previously censored out. I hope it's beyond that.
I think it's if I remember correctly, it's new event scenes and a whole new dungeon and a whole bunch of other little stuff, like sort of sprinkled along the way.
I'm not even going to notice what's new because I don't even remember the stuff I'm talking about.
It's a brand new game for the second time. Yeah.
If only I could do this with other games. Like, just like, can I displace my memory of the entire Zero Escape series? Because I would love to just like brainwash that out and play that again.
I'll do it again, yeah.
I've forgotten most of Nocturne, but I need them to release it on the Switch because that's the only way I will be capable of playing through that game again.
Right, yeah.
I need to be able to carry that around and in bed, and then also play it on a screen.
Yeah.
Please give me all of that.
Like my save time on that PS2 game, which did not include pause time because I was in my 20s and dedicated, was like 140 hours or something ridiculous like that. Yeah. So.
Yep.
Yeah. But,
that's it for me. Go back to game. I'm sorry I took that over.
No, you're
so.
Okay.
Oh, no worries. It's I really want people to play that game. So like, just everyone remember, Mina's playing it on hard. I'm playing it on easy and have none of her problems.
Right. Getting the full spectrum of experiences here.
But there is a save game plus. I think it's only a 40-hour or so game on like a normal or easy difficulty.
Yeah.
On hard, where
not like Persona 5, where it's like, all right, get in here for 100 hours.
Right.
Yeah, like, and I think if you're playing on hard, where every random encounter is basically a boss fight, like it's probably gonna add a lot of time, but it'll be fine. It's still a really cool, fun, invented, lighthearted game. But
yeah, I'm excited to start it soon.
Speaking of the complete opposite of lighthearted, I purchased and started playing Oninaki.
Yeah.
Also beat it.
Oh.
This is a game that has a metric ton of issues with it that I absolutely adore, and is also one of the most depressing games ever. So I keep meaning to look up to see what Oninaki means, because they use the word Oni in it, and now I'm wondering, like, what does Naki add to it? But like, is the title an actual spoiler for the game? But so this game is obsessed with death. So the culture in the game, reincarnation is basically observable science inside this game. And what they have is, if someone dies and you grieve for them, then their soul may not go on to be reincarnated. So like, the game starts with basically you're the kid version of your character, and your parents had just died, and they're telling this little kid not to grieve, because their souls might linger and not be reincarnated for it. Which is a pretty messed up thing to tell a kid. It's not funny. I just laugh because it's kind of monstrous.
Yeah. So Oninaki doesn't really mean anything. It's just kind of a shortening of the Japanese title, which I'm not going to attempt to pronounce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you go into the game and you play your character's job is a watcher, and what watchers do is they look for lost souls and try to help them to the afterlife.
Hmm.
There are a variety of lost souls. The kind you actually help are like actual lost souls that have just died recently. They're just looking to like clean up whatever their modern day affairs are.
Hmm.
There's the monster type, which I don't remember what they call, but those are the ones that you wind up fighting and whatnot. And sometimes they'll return to a normal soul after that. Sometimes they just disappear. And then the third type is the play mechanic, and these are called daemons. And these are lost souls who can no longer be reincarnated, but they can't be corrupted into something, and they don't remember who they are. So the way this works mechanically is there are 10 of them in the game. You get one. You'll have probably all of them by like mid game or something like that. But like, so the first one you get uses a sword, for instance. So you use a sword and you can learn, like they have a pretty elaborate skill tree that you can fill out and get new sword attacks and such like that. And then like the second one you get is a spear, and like his special attack is like a dragoon, like from Final Fantasy.
Oh, cool.
And you'll use a spear when you use them. So like your entire fighting style, because it's an action RPG, is dependent on which one you have equipped. And they'll bring other whatever buffs and whatever things to the gameplay too. But the other thing in their skill tree, and I mentioned this when I played the demo on here, but they have memories that you can unlock. So each one I think has 4 or 5 memories, and they'll basically tell the story of how they died and what trapped them into becoming this lost soul.
Oh, cool.
And those are all done like in this really cool cinematic style, and the music for the game is gorgeous, and the music on those sections I think are really good too. And it's all Japanese voice acted, but the voice actors all sound really cool to me too. Where the game has problems is and really just actually playing it. The controls aren't super responsive. Like you'll find, so each daemon is like a special move, which is something like dodge or dash or jump or block or put up like a bubble shield. And what I found is, unfortunately, at least through the first half of the game, dodging is the primary useful one. Like you generally don't want to get the jump guy unless you're just fighting an enemy where you need his special dragoon attack for. Like a lot of them, so they have a fist fighter who basically puts up like it's almost like a Titan shield on Destiny 2, but it's like a big glowy bubble thing. And you can unlock it so you can do stuff within the bubble, but it only kind of decreases damage you take from enemies inside the bubble.
Oh.
And you don't have a dodge or a jump or anything with her, so you're just taking damage. So if you are not hitting well, then it's just not going to work out. And like the other problem is like every time you get a daemon, they start from scratch. So like you may be like 5 or 6 skills into your current daemons you have equipped, and you get this new one, and you probably aren't going to use it in the dungeon you're in because they have to be leveled up 5 or 6 times before they're going to be useful to you.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
And it's not a good game to grind in either, is the other problem with it. If there's just like quick maps you could go to and run through and kill everything and run out, like that would be one thing. And I did that an evening or two. But like you need so many of the currency to get through the skill trees of your daemons that like by the end of the game I'd only maxed out 2 skill trees and therefore only heard 2 complete stories for these guys.
Right.
They do have some like after game content, but I haven't tried any of that yet. Honestly, I kind of made it through the end. I'm like, nah, I'm good. But it's the game story wise through probably the first half of the game is almost like a really depressing 90s anime. So like back then with like, I don't know, like Tenchi Muyo or Universe or gosh, I wish I could think of another anime, but like they all start out where like the first 10 episodes are not the main story. Yeah. You're just going through and like maybe bits of the main story are in the background that you don't realize are the main story. But for the most part, you're just being introduced to this world and going through things. So this one operates more like a gosh, almost a Unsolved Mysteries Cold Files thing where like each story chunk is a new someone died, go help their spirit thing. So like everything is severely depressing, and they are not afraid to go like controversial routes and things like that in terms of let's see, well, without getting too much away, like at one point there is a suicide cult, you know. But
like they're not afraid to kill a kid in the game.
A lot of kids die in this game. Like,
yeah.
And at one point, so there's only probably about 5 decisions in the game. Like it takes about 40 hours to get through. At one point, and I posted it on my Instagram and Facebook, and for some reason it didn't make it to Twitter, but you're talking, what was it? This kid had died, and he was worried about his dog, and wanted you to go take care of his dog. You find the dog. The game straight up gives you the option, kill the dog.
Oh, jeez.
Or unchain the dog. It's like...
Well, who picks the first option?
Right.
For real. Like, even... Like, in the game's context, I'm sure what they... Like, the intention of that is... Okay, we'll kill the dog so the dog can be reincarnated with the kid and they can be together in the next life.
Rejoin them, yeah.
But, like, it does not come across...
You still gotta kill the dog, man.
No.
Yeah.
Let the dog live a happy life and then reincarnate afterwards. How about that?
I agree. And I don't know,
So
like,
I
don't know how that concluded, because I couldn't find the kid's spirit afterwards, and the dog was gone. I let him off the leash and he ran off, so I don't know how that ended up, if that was the right thing or wrong thing. In my book, it was the right thing, because I did not kill a dog.
Right.
Holy smokes.
But... Like, most of the decisions are not as jarring as that one. Well, okay, a couple of them are... Well, okay, no. Nothing is as jarring as kill the dog. But, like, you do get some, like... Gosh. You get some messed up things happen. Like, mid-game, I didn't actually think was a mid-game. It did a thing, and I'm not going to spoil what that is, but I just thought the game was over. I'm like, okay, this game has been depressing enough. I could see this actually being the ending.
Right.
But it's I really like this game. I like the idea of it more than the execution, but like the artwork and music are great. I love the idea of the world and kind of exploring kind of I call it humanity's obsession with death, but no one is obsessed with death as the culture in this game.
Right.
But it's just super fascinating. It's definitely not for everyone though. If you don't think you can endure 40 hours of something depressing, maybe don't play it.
Well, and I think the demo is still available, so if people want to check it out and give it a shot, I think that gives a real good impression of how that game is going to be throughout its 40 hours.
Yeah, and that your progress can carry from the demo. Like, it gave me that option when I started the game, but it'd been too long and I'd forgotten too much, so I just started over. And then lastly, I started Judgment the other night, which is definitely not an RPG, but falls into our Japan Yakuza section of the...
I don't know. The Yakuza series is an RPG, so I think Judgment is. Does it have like the same leveling up skills system that Yakuza does?
So I've only played Yakuza 0.
Okay.
So Yakuza 0 had the...
that wheel where you spend the money? Yeah.
So it just gives you a screen with like a bunch of skills, and you get skill points that you can spend on a lot. But it feels like a Yakuza meets Sleeping Dogs without the driving game to me so far.
More lawyering.
Yeah, and it's goofy, but I really enjoy it. Like, you get a drone, and they have like this mini game of find the pertinent detail in the picture, or find the thing with the drone, and I really enjoy that. I kind of just put it on easy so I could, beat the crap out of people and get through it. The protagonist seems real likable. I don't know if I zoned out in the intro or what, but so like the game starts out and you are your character protagonist. Hold on, I pulled up his name. Takayuki Yagami. So he's a lawyer, right? He's a lawyer who has won a case, which is almost unheard of because no one ever wins cases defending people in Japan. And so he was celebrating, considering his next case, and then he got a phone call that the guy he just got proven innocent of murder went home and stabbed his girlfriend.
Great.
And I'm 90% sure they mean that the serial killer guy killed his own girlfriend. But like, part of me wonders, like, do they mean they killed Takayuki's girlfriend? They can't. He's not acting depressed enough for that, is he?
Sure, right.
So I'm not clear on that detail. But anyway, the game skips ahead 3 years, and you're now a detective. And some of your clients are Yakuza. So like the Tojo clan is in the city, and like there are Yakuza game elements and stuff in there.
And it's set in Kamurocho, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I'm really enjoying it so far, but I'm barely anywhere. Like they've not turned me loose. Gosh, there really isn't a whole lot to it. So right now I have 2 fighting styles, one of them for a crowd, one of them for a single. They have I forget what they call them. You have like a meter that fills up, and then you can press triangle at certain points, and it will do like an extra special EX move. That's what they're called.
Your limit break.
Yeah, pretty much. But there are a bunch of them, and like they're very cinematic in how they go. Like in such a way, like one of them, I ran up a wall and then hit the button, and I was fighting like 3 or 4 guys, and like he tackled one guy and hit another guy and then another. Like it was like, but it was done cinematic style. It wasn't like it was.
Yeah, they have those guys in the Yakuza series where you hit triangle sometimes, and you can do like a special move too, and it's like the camera's swinging around and you're throwing a motorcycle at like 5 people, and it's like, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah. I do remember the motorcycle part from Zero, but like I never played 6, so I think this game is on the Yakuza 6 engine. That might be wrong.
I think so, and I think they carried it over to 7 as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. But I'm really enjoying it. It's a fun world. Takayuki, I think, is a really likable protagonist. I think the last mission I did was, we got to talk to this guy on the top floor. Oh, we got to sneak in. So I disguised myself as a HVAC repairman and went in the building and snuck until I couldn't snuck, and however that sentence is supposed to go word-wise. Right. And beat the crap out of a dozen Yakuza, and then found the main guy. So
yeah, that game looks cool.
That is all. Well, I guess there's a game club game. This is the police, which I would argue is an RPG, but we will talk about that in 2 weeks.
Yeah, there you go. I gotta play more of that. I have been playing just a metric ton of SaGa Scarlet Grace Ambitions. This game is turning out to be way longer than I was expecting it to, and I'm loving every minute of it. I finished the first character's story. I don't think I talked about that last month. But I finished her story, and the final boss of her story was really good because it was really difficult. For most encounters, if you have like a multi-stage encounter, it'll tell you before you get into it, say like, this one's easy, it'll have an arrow and say this one's normal and next one's normal. This one was 3 hard battles back to back, but for each battle, you would knock down the boss, and then it would get back up, and you'd have to knock it down twice per fight. And then actually 3 times in the last phase. So it turned into this cool thing where, unlike normally where you try and buff and debuff a bunch and kind of poison and make sure that you're defending as much as you can, you're really just pushing the DPS as fast as you can to try and get through these really tough fights. So I really liked that you really needed to take advantage of everything that you've trained your party members on for the entire game and kind of maximize all that stuff for this really, really tough fight. So finished that and started another, the next character's playthrough that I chose. I picked Taria. She was probably not the best selection for my second one because she's doing very similar stuff from the previous playthrough I played through, which makes sense from a story standpoint, but from a gameplay standpoint, sort of like, all right, let's do this scavenger hunt again. Hers has been really interesting because she has 3 distinct chapters that sort of all end in this splash screen. It's like, all right, let's go back home. Whoops, nothing's fixed. At the end of her first chapter was really interesting because you have to fight this boss. And if you remember, I was talking about unity attacks, where your party members, if they smush together, they do this big attack and they do a ton of damage to the enemy. You really want to prevent your enemies from doing that. So if there's 3 enemies in a row and you kill the middle one, the 2 are going to smush together and they're going to do a ton of damage on your party. The crazy thing about this fight is you have to make your enemies do those unity attacks to defeat the boss. So what happens is you get the enemies to do these unity attacks, and then the boss absorbs the enemies and eventually overheats and then runs away. But it's cool to kind of, some of the bosses in the game have you do such different things like this, where it's like, okay, how do I move my characters and the enemies around the screen so I can get them into a position I never want them to be, to do the thing I don't want them to do to successfully beat this boss. And it's one of those things where I had to try 3 or 4 times because it's like, God, they're killing me because I'm not fighting the boss the right way. I'm just trying to defeat it, and you can't do any damage to the boss, so you have to do this system. SaGa Scarlet Grace Ambitions is really, really good, and I'm at the final boss on the second character, and I'm a little underleveled, so I have to do a little bit of grinding to get mostly my HP up. But man, I'm trying to not do the thing I usually do, where it's like, this game is so good, and I'm really enjoying it, and then Tokyo Mirage Sessions comes out, so I'll just start that, and then I have quarter-finished games laying in my wake. I really like this game, and I really love the SaGa series, so I want to see this through to the end. And once I beat this final boss, I'll be halfway through. I think. I don't know if we're going to do one of those things where it's like the 4 characters and then a 5th chapter, which would be totally cool. But yes, SaGa Scarlet Grace Ambitions, it's out on a whole bunch of stuff. It's out on basically everything except for Xbox One if you want to check it out. It's really great. But that's all I'm playing, so let's, it seems like we have a lot of releases and news stories this month, but a lot of them are kind of quick, so let's blow through these. RPG releases for February 2020, the game with the longest title in 2020, I can almost guarantee, is the game I'm looking forward to the most. Jim Henson's The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics comes out for PC, OS X, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One on the 4th. If you wanted a brand new Final Fantasy Tactics that just has a different skin on it, this is the game you're looking for.
I forgot this thing was happening until
Yeah.
I opened our sheet up. I gotta find some money for it.
Yeah, I still don't know how much it is. I'm hoping it's around the $20 price range, because as soon as this comes out, I'm definitely going to pick it up. Probably for PS4, maybe for Switch, but I haven't been playing my Switch too much lately. But all the videos and the developer walkthroughs and stuff I've seen for this so far have been, hey, we love Final Fantasy Tactics, and there hasn't been one in a really long time, so we're going to go make one. And it just has this license associated with it. So, job systems, they just took everything.
Awesome.
So, yeah, check it out when it comes out. It looks really good. Speaking of Yakuza, the remastered collection comes out on PS4 on the 11th. So, Yakuza Remastered 3 and 4 are already out digitally. On the 11th, the 5th will be out digitally, and the physical collection of 3, 4, and 5 will be out at the same time. So the physical edition comes with a bunch of tchotchkes and stuff, and comes with the game on disc, and it comes with a copy of Yakuza 5's PS3 box. There's no disc in it. Well, maybe the collection disc is in it. I don't know. But we only got Yakuza 5 digitally here, so we never got a box, so you could never complete It was 1 through 4 and then 6. So you could.
I was confused. I was
Yeah.
like, why? Why would they? And then, yeah.
When
Okay,
they
that
announced it, I was like, why would you put 5's box? And then I had to think. I was like, oh, right, because it only... Yeah, that was a PS3 digital only thing. So that's fun. Good job, Sega. They're having fun with the series. I like it. Darksiders Genesis finally comes to consoles on Switch, PS4, and Xbox One on the 14th. This is the Darksiders hack and slash Diablo game that I hear is pretty good. So I'm probably also gonna pick that up. So expensive. Snack World, the Dungeon Crawl Gold comes out on Switch on the 14th. I cannot believe we're getting the Snack World game. Here's Level 5's RPG series that for some reason never came out over here. And they're remaking it for Switch and adding a whole bunch of extra stuff. And this game is supposed to be really good. So, although I don't know an entire lot about it other than Level 5 RPG really good. So that's about all I need to know. So check that out. Here's some good news for you. Persona 5 Scramble comes out on the Switch on the 20th.
Are you sure that's a U.S. release date?
For this? I thought so.
Yeah.
I
didn't think we'd actually gotten announced here, because I've been keeping my eye out for the pre-order and I haven't seen it.
Oh, man.
So...
we'll talk about the next one while Musum does some research here. Rune Factory 4 Special comes out on the Switch on the 25th. Mina's game of all time.
Oh my gosh.
Finally coming out.
I am so excited. They just announced the release date like within the past month. And I've been waiting for that release date because they already had they had you pre-order and everything, and it's been months and months. I'm just like, I need the date.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited for those of you who haven't heard me talk about how, like, if you're going to get a 3DS game and you're just like, I don't know what to get, Rune Factory 4 was a must buy on my games list. Is like, you have to get this game.
Yeah.
And I'm so thrilled, not just because like Rune Factory 4 Special is coming out on the Switch, because now people who have said, well, I don't own a 3DS, you own a Switch.
Right.
Surely,
Everyone owns a Switch.
Surely you own a Switch. So now there's no excuse. I don't want to hear it. But the biggest news about this whole thing is the fact that they haven't let that IP die.
Yeah.
And that's what really mattered to me, because the way Rune Factory 4 ended with the shutting of the doors of Neverland, whatever it was called, Neverland, whatever.
They were called, yeah.
Just I thought for sure, I was like, I might never get another Rune Factory, and that was the saddest thought, because they went out with a bang. Like, the sales were like triple or 4 times the expected amount for that game, and it is one of their best-selling games. And it was like, you're gonna end like this?
Right. You're ending on top.
We gotta have more. You can't do this to me. So, Rune Factory 4 Special, even if you already owned it for the 3DS, I really, really recommend getting the Switch version, because they are adding a lot of new content.
Yeah.
And just in general, it looks pretty graphically.
It looks really good.
Better.
Yeah.
So, and plus, please support this game, because I need more Rune Factory.
Yeah. Got to bring 5 over here.
I need 5. I need 6. I need 10.
Yeah. Keep
this going. Okay.
Musum's right. The Persona 5 Scramble does not come out in the U.S. Right now. I missed the little letter A on the Wikipedia page that says this game is coming out in Japan only on this date. We don't have a release date yet, so
we'll get it.
But it'll definitely. Atlas has said it definitely is coming out in North America. It's just we don't have a release date yet. So
okay, good.
We'll get it.
Knowing our luck, probably March 23rd, 2020.
Please give me more space.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about news stories here. A little PSA. The Outer Worlds launches on Switch in March. Normally, we would just talk about this next month when it comes out, but it's getting one of those horrible Switch physical releases that I hate, which is just a box with a code inside. So be warned that it's not really getting a physical release. Just buy the digital one as it is anyway. Also, game didn't run super great on consoles, so if you're interested in this, you might want to hold off on it for a little bit just to see how it performs on Switch. Not saying they won't get it there, but, you know, the Obsidian games can be a little bit hard on consoles, and Switch is a little underpowered compared to the other ones, so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Obsidian outsourced it too, so.
Okay. Maybe they'll outsource to someone like Iron Galaxy, and it'll be fine.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Torchlight Frontiers has been rebranded as Torchlight 3. I don't know if we talked about Frontiers before, or if we have, it's been a while, but Torchlight Frontiers was their free-to-play version of Torchlight. They had a closed alpha a while ago, and basically the overwhelming feedback that people in the closed alpha gave Perfect World Entertainment was, this isn't great, you just need to make Torchlight 3. And they are. Which is kind of the news story we never get. Instead of like, oh, well, we're really committed to gaming. It's just like, all right, we heard you. Like, you didn't like this thing. We're going to turn it into basically like follow the structure and the features and the characters and everything of Torchlight. And we're going to make it into Torchlight 3. It's like, that's fantastic. And it's coming out this summer. So, all cool. Good news all around. Phantasy Star Online 2's closed beta is upcoming. The now 8-year-old game? 12-year-old game? Something like that?
It's got to be an older game than that. I remember people talking about it like when I was...
No, it's not 8 years old. It came out in 2008. That's what I got.
I was like...
12-year-old game. Yeah.
It's been...
It's been forever. Yeah. The closed beta is available via the Xbox Insider Hub app on Xbox One. Boy, that's a lot of words. You can load the demo on your Xbox One on the 3rd, and you will only be able to play it on the 7th and like the morning of the 8th. So if you want to get in there and you want to try it, you have a very short window next weekend to do so.
Tiny window.
Yeah. But as of right now, if anyone doesn't remember the announcement, as of right now, it's only going to be on Xbox One in the US. It won't be region locked, and it will have all of the features, all of the current features and content from the Japanese version. And Microsoft says they're open to bringing it to other platforms in the future. So,
please.
Fingers crossed. Speaking of freeing up March 23rd, Cyberpunk 2077 has been pushed back to September. CD Projekt Red put out a whole big thing saying like, hey, it's just not done. It's not done. It's not polished. I think they said you can play through it from front to end, so it's kind of content complete. They just gotta buff all the edges on it.
Yeah.
And they're giving us some more space in the first quarter, which is really great. Alongside that, Final Fantasy VII Remake delayed to April. It's April 10th, I believe. Yes. From March 3rd to April 10th, so it's only a couple of weeks. And they basically said the same thing on that one, that they just need a little bit more time to wrap that bad boy up. So if you haven't seen the brand new trailer that came out this week of Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's hot. That's the good stuff. That's for a long time I was like, I don't know if it should be fine. And then like the last couple trailers they put out have been real good. So
it really looks like they go past Midgar to me in that trailer. I got to be honest with you. Like,
there's a little bit of stuff in there that might be later, yeah.
And who the heck's the guy on the motorcycle who says hi to Cloud?
I think he's from the first one, but he shows up for like 5 minutes. He's like one of those Shinra employees where it's like, why am I fighting this guy? Oh, he's gone. Okay. He's probably like one of the dudes you fight on the freeway where it's like, oh, this guy have a name? Like, why is this
Maybe
guy?
He's the guy you race or something. Like, don't you have to race something?
I think so, yeah. There's a lot of stuff in that game. And last but not least, I just want to put out a plug. I'm not associated with it all, but Final Fantasy Tactics Battleground on Twitch. It's like Salty Bet for Final Fantasy Tactics. So basically, there's a randomly generated set of teams, and they fight in a. People don't remember this, but there's an AI battling system in Tactics. So you can just set 2 parties against each other, and the AI will fight. So basically, a program generates a whole bunch of teams. The AI is used to fight. They work through kind of a ladder in a tournament, and you can bet fake money on which teams will win, and you can, if you're lucky, you can spend some money to buy skills for individual party members. And I have been watching it a lot for like the last 3 or 4 weeks. If I'm not doing anything, it's kind of just up on my computer or my TV. And it's a blast to watch. It's a really great time. So check it out. It's FFT Battleground on Twitch. And with that, that's our episode for this month. Thank you so much for listening. PickingUpThePixels.com is where you can find us. Right-hand side of the page is where you can find and follow us. Musim, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on my audio hub at jbaudio.net. They'll have links to my music on iTunes and all those other places.
A brand new podcast themes album out right now. Go check it out. Go buy it. Or stream it, but that doesn't make him as much money. So go buy it.
You can give me $5 to $10 or 1/1000th of a cent. Your choice.
That's right. The choice is clear. Mina, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitch or on YouTube under Mina KO Rocket.
And you can find me at e1m1.com, patreon.com/e1m1. And thank you very much for listening. Our adventure continues next month.
Bye.
Bye.
And thanks everyone for watching the live stream. We'll see you next time. Bye.